Hi everyone. Today we're going to be looking at Bowen Park and the Salmon Side Channel at Millstone River. I'm going to be sharing with you some ideas of about what you can do with your students during a field trip visit to the park, including a guiding question and some resources and activities that you can use while you're at the park. Circled in red is Bowen Park. This is a map of Nanaimo. So Bowen Park is just at the south end of Bowen Road, just off of the Island Highway. Here's a map of Bowen Park. The red arrow there is pointing to the Salmon Side Channel. So the park was heavily developed in 2007 to make the Salmon Side Channel an effective home for fish. Here's a closer look at the Salmon Side Channel. Note the outdoor classroom and amphitheater, the duck pond and the resting Totems Falls, which we're going to be taking a quick look at, and then of course the Salmon Side Channel and Millstone River. So our guiding question for today is, how has the creation of the Salmon Side Channel at Bowen Park impacted our local community? Throughout this presentation, we'll be looking at the development of the channel, or how the development of the channel has impacted our community. This guiding question you can use with your students and later in the presentation, we'll be looking at some resources that students can answer these inquiry questions with some organizers. So now we'll be looking at the geographical significance of Bowen Park. So first is the duck pond. The duck pond is home to lots of ducks. It's a beautiful space, and just across the pond there is the amphitheater and outdoor classroom. So this amphitheater and outdoor classroom is a perfect spot for students to eat lunch and explore and play games. It would also work as a great area for learners to write and draw on worksheets and activities provided. If there's any time where teachers want to do some sort of instructional lesson, this is the perfect spot to do it. So VIU and SD68 classes do use this outdoor classroom. It's located right next to the side channel. So now we're going to be looking at the channel itself. So historically, the river flowed rapidly through Bowen Park, where it met with 3 cascading falls, which made it nearly impossible for salmon to reach the spawning grounds. The side channel is an excellent spot to take a class to release salmon fry. In 2008, 210 children from SD68 schools released over 800 salmon fry into the channel. Shortly, we're going to be looking at, in detail, some activities and worksheets that you can do with your learners at the park. These activities can be done in conjunction with salmon releasing or without, while still promising a powerful learning experience. Peak year in 2010, approximately 450 coho salmon spawned in the channel. The Salmon Side Channel is home to coho salmon as well as cutthroat and steelhead trout. Here is a map of the Salmon Side Channel where it intersects with a bridge circled in red there, which is what I'm going to be showing you for the next 2 slides. So here's a picture, and there's the second one. So now we're going to be looking at the waterfall and where the intersection of the Salmon Side Channel and Millstone River. Here is it on a map circled in red. So these are 3 cascading falls that were mentioned by the city of Nanaimo. So these falls made it nearly impossible for salmon to reach the spawning grounds. In the bottom right-hand corner, you can see where the side channel pours into the river. This is a south-facing view where it connects to the Salish Sea and the open ocean, where salmon will spend most of their lives. And a north-facing view where the river is connected to Westwood, Brannan, and Cathars Lake. So now we're going to be looking at the cultural significance. Bowen Park is culturally significant for a variety of reasons. I'm going to be sharing 3 today. The local community uses this park, and it contributes to more salmon sustainability and nature appreciation. Second, the Salmon Side Channel supports an estimated of 30,000 coho salmon smolts, and it creates a habitat for trout and aquatic insects, which are a primary food source for fish. And the third reason is the resting Totems Falls. I'm going to be reading a brief excerpt from the city of Nanaimo. The totem poles are tall, monumental sculptures carved from cedar trees by indigenous peoples like the Snuneymuxw peoples. They symbolize familial legends or lineages, cultural beliefs, or historical tales. It's often believed the order of the images tells a story. The most important can be anywhere in the middle, top, or bottom. These totem poles are laying down because after many years, totem poles become fragile and begin to deteriorate. However, they are still culturally significant to the Nanaimo and Greater Nanaimo community, which is why they've been kept and placed here. Here is what I just read from, which is posted at the park. Now we're going to be looking at some activities. So these activities are going to be in a grade 1 context, and a reminder that they can be done alongside releasing salmon or without. So here are some graphic organizers reminding that our guideposts are continuity and change and significance. So the first organizer on the left is one where students write their wonders, their learning, their connections, and what they see, touch, hear, and smell. In the middle, the organizer is for learners to write the salmon organizer, whichever one they're more comfortable with, they can pick. And on the right here is one organizer, double-sided. On the front would be 2 columns of what do you see and what do you think the story is of this totem pole posted from Bella Coola. And on the back side is a photo, a map of Nanaimo and Bella Coola, and they're both pointed out on the map there, just to give some students some place and some perspective of where they think Bella Coola is. Next, we're looking at some drawings and some matching activities that students can do. So the salmon life cycle here is a matching activity that students can do, matching the pictures with the words. They could do this where the salmon life cycle, there are postings of the salmon life cycle that the students can use as support. And on the right side here is an activity called Healthy Streams, where students at the top above that water line can draw the surroundings that they see around the river. And in the water, they can also draw the fish that they see. So some questions for further discussion are, how does our releasing of the salmon impact the greater community? So this one is specifically, how does our releasing of the salmon impact the community? How are salmon and trout connected in the river? We know that they both live there. How do salmon change throughout their life cycle? And how does each life cycle stage affect the community? Some other questions are, how are salmon and trees interconnected? How are salmon, trees, and the local and greater community connected in relation to the salmon life cycle? And what did the relationship between salmon and the indigenous peoples of the Nanaimo territory look like 50 years ago, 100 years ago, 500 years ago? These questions can be used from K to 12 and just depending on their complexity. Students can use the Touch, See, Smell, Wonder, Learn organizer to answer these inquiry questions. So this is my presentation. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you can picture some real life activities that you could use at Bowen Park to experience salmon spawning. Thank you.